Hey everyone, thank you very much. Thank you very much for following us. Listen, welcome to today's show. Actually, we're going to be talking about something really, really important. It's called the entrepreneur's mindset versus the employee mindset. Huge difference. I'm not talking about entrepreneurs as in entrepreneurs that actually have their own company. I'm actually talking about entrepreneurs' mindset within a company. As an employee, you have an entrepreneur mindset. What's the difference, and why is it that people with an entrepreneur's mindset tend to progress in their career much faster, earn more, have more visibility, better perception, etc., etc.? Why is it? So we're going to tackle this, and I'm just going to show you basically a bit of a few differences between these two mindsets and hopefully how you can implement some of it. Okay, so essentially the first big huge difference is that an entrepreneur's mindset is constantly focused on the customer. Everything is about the customer. So basically, even internal processes, the way you do accounting, the way you everything is about the customer. The way you recruit people, whatever job you do is keeping the customer in mind. What type of people I want for my customers? What kind of audience do I have? Therefore, what type of people do I need to attract? How do I need to follow up with invoices? Everything is customer focused. So let's look at a few differences. So for example, let's say someone that's focused on his job and someone that's focused on the customer. Okay, so when you are focused on the job, you are confused about what is a customer. When you are customer focused, you actually understand that there are internal and external customers. There are internal customers because every department is actually working for another department, supporting another department who, very, very often, by the way, it's the sales department that is being supported a lot, okay, as much as possible, because this is where the money comes from. So an IT department, for example, has customers. The customers is the rest of the company, okay? They must have access to IT, they must have no disruption, etc., etc. So you see, you have internal customers, but the company has external customers as well. So basically, everything you do needs to be enabling others to deal with customers, external customers, in the right way. So this is what IT needs to think about. This is how, if you are in accounting, if you are in logistics, if you, etc., etc. Okay. The second difference is that someone that's focused on his job, he thinks that stability in the job is connected to the type of contract. If he has a permanent contract or a temporary contract, is connected to the reputation of the company, basically the size of the company, or whatever. You see, when you are customer focused, you understand that actually stability comes from customers. Okay, the more a company has customers, the more your job is stable. So you see, very, very different mindset, very, very different mindset. Another difference is that, when you focus on the job, you rarely challenge, rules, processes. You're basically happy with what you have. And when you are customer driven, when you are customer focused, regardless of which job you're doing, you're actually challenging rules. You're actually saying, actually, you know what, are rules done to serve employees and for employees to actually do a better job with customers, to attract more, to be more profitable, productive, etc.? Or are rules set in stone, been established 10 years ago, and they just don't have any resonance now? They don't have any meaning now, or added value. So you see, your ability to always be customer-centered, okay, focus on the customer, is going to allow you to actually improve, make better rules, processes, etc., etc. Okay. Also, when you see customer complaints, if you are really focused on your job, oftentimes you see those customer complaints as problem customers. So these customers, they are just, problem people, and they're not happy, they're rude, etc., etc. But in fact, when you have an entrepreneur's mindset, you actually see these customer complaints as huge opportunities to improve, as huge opportunities to advance, to be more competitive, to be just better. Okay, so very, very different mindset. Again, perhaps one of the biggest difference is the fact that when you explain, for example, a product or a policy Someone that's focused on the job, he says, well, that's just the way it is. And this product can do this and can do that. Okay, and the policies, the reason why we do this is because of that. It's the company policy. Okay, when you have an entrepreneur's mindset, you're able to offer solutions, benefits, and value for almost everything. Almost everything. Let me give you an example. The banking sector is complaining that they are losing a lot of jobs. They're losing a lot of jobs, mainly essentially because, because of the advent of internet. You see, there's more and more transactions that are being done online and less need for manpower in the banking sector. Now, they're complaining, and when you look at what has been happening in the market in the banking sector, they have consistently treated their customers in the wrong way. Consistently, it has never been a customer-centered industry. So in other words, if you're late, you have a fee. Why? That's the policy. Okay, it's just the way it is. If you can't do this, well, if you have less money on your account, if you're below a certain level or whatever, you have a fee. And when you keep on treating customers like this, they just don't want to deal with you anymore. They just don't want to deal with you at all. So they are rushing. If there are internet services, they would be rather dealing with their computers, with internet, with robots than with human beings. That's just the way it is. So keep this in mind, because this is how you keep your job. This is how you keep your job. Like we said earlier, stability is about the amount of customers and whether they're happy or not. So let me give you another example. In my coaching experience, sometimes I have people that negotiate. So I could be a job-focused person where I just say, well, no, that's the policy, we never negotiate, that's it. Or I could actually show this in a good light. So you see, I could actually say, oh, I'm so sorry, actually we don't negotiate our fees because we want to treat every single customer the same way. We just don't want to make any differences. Which one do you feel, which reason do you feel the customer is happier with? Of course, the second reason, because he feels like, oh, okay, so he's going to treat me the same as everyone else. And that actually offer benefits and value. It doesn't just say, oh, that's just a company policy. Like most of the banking sector, a lot of companies do. Oh, it's just the way it is. Oh, it's the rules, you have to do it. Well, you have customers internally and externally. If you want to keep them, if you want to attract more, you've got to always offer solutions and not features, but also explain policies as benefits for everyone. Explain rules as benefits for everyone, as values, okay? So really, really important. And finally, aims at the next job in the career ladder. So, when you're working in a job, you think, oh, my growth is the next thing, all right? So if I'm not a manager, it's going to be a manager. If I'm a manager, it's going to be a director or whatever, okay? Whereas when you are customer focused, you're not actually thinking like this, because you're thinking, but actually, the things that have been putting in place. So for example, the improvement of the processes, all of these things that have generated for the good of the customers, I can actually do them across many departments. I can actually help other departments do it. And you see, when you are customer focused, you're no longer in a box, because the customer is the concern, should be the concern of the entire company. So if you develop a skill or a mindset into improving, the retaining of customers, the loyalty of customers, the generation of new customers, then, pretty much you're going to start making your job. So you're going to have different responsibilities. You're going to be in projects where you work with other departments and so on and so forth, because this is stability for a company. This is the most important thing, okay? So an entrepreneurial mindset is first and foremost going to focus on customers. You are not in logistics, you are not in IT, you are not in accounting, you are in a customer service industry, period. If you think you are in IT and the most important thing in your job is IT, then you're doomed. You're not ever going to progress and explode in your career. The best people are always going to think, how can I get my users, how can I get my internal clients, my internal customers to actually spend less time filling up or updating the CRM? How can I attract data? How can I do this? How can I do that? Okay, that's essentially, your marketing department should be at the service of the sales department. The only role of the marketing is to attract leads for the sales department to take over. If you're just marketing for the sake of marketing because you're being creative, oh wow, this advert is beautiful, oh wow, this whatever is beautiful, you're useless, period. So don't be a sort of an employee mindset. Don't have an employee mindset. Please quit that. Just think about this as, hang on, everything is connected. We work in the same company. We are on the same team. The number one goal should be customer, should be the sort of contentment of the customer. Okay, so really, really important. Second dimension. So the first dimension is really the customer. The second dimension is really the company's success. The company's success, you see, people that think about themselves as with a sort of employee mindset, they think about their personal success. So they aim at getting promoted and earning more. That's the number one focus. Now, I'm not saying that this is bad. I'm saying that if this is your number one focus, what is the secondary focus? The success of the company? Well, the thing is, without success of the company, you can't get promoted and earn more. Okay, so it's not sustainable. What you have to put as the number one focus is really to aim at promoting the business, to work, on the business as if it was yours. Okay, not promote yourself in the business. If this is your first, if promoting the business is your number one concern, this energy is going to radiate. Everyone is going to think, wow, everything you say, everything you do, everything you strive for is for the good of the business. Okay. The people are focused on themselves, on the job. They have an employee mindset. They also expect a raise for good conduct and the length of their tenure. Okay, so for example, if they've been in the company for 3 years, they haven't had a raise, they would go to their employer and they would say, well, look, I've been in the company for 3 years. I haven't had a raise. And this is very, very flawed. This is completely wrong, because as an entrepreneur myself, as an employer myself, I'm always thinking, so, have you increased the value of your job? No, nothing has changed. So why should I pay you more? You see, there's a disconnect between employers and employees. So you've got to develop this sort of entrepreneur's mindset where you say, hang on, I'm going to expect a raise in line with the impact or the results that I generate. If you generate more money, more savings, if you improve the productivity through establishing a few processes, etc., then you can expect a return on that investment. I hope it makes sense. So really important. If someone that's focused on his job, has an employee mindset, he's always trying to look good in front of others. So, if he's thinking about a question, something is not normal, he's not going to challenge, because that's conflictual. Okay, that's conflictual, and maybe they're not going to be happy, etc. Or if something is wrong, for example, someone is not really acting for the good of the business, he's not going to really create a fuss about it. It's just going to refocus on his job. Big mistake, because you're not working for the business right there. So you see, the someone that's focused on his job, oftentimes he will fight for out of ego. So he will fight if you're trying to take clients from him. He will fight if you're trying to oppose him in a meeting, for example. He will fight back because it's out of ego. Whereas someone that has an entrepreneur's mindset doesn't really care about who's right and who's wrong. He cares about what's right. It doesn't matter if it's from his side or someone else's side. He cares about what's right for the business. Okay, and this is very, very different. You don't interact the same. You feel the energy is not the same, because the energy is not about justifying, fighting back, etc. It's actually about I see your point, I think it would be better, you're right. And when you concede a few things like this, people stop fighting you. okay? Because they realize that actually everything you're doing is for the business. When you don't care about what's good or bad for the business, you care about, no, I'm right, you're wrong, etc., etc., then you're actually depriving your business from a valuable resource. You know, we talked about this briefly, but people that focus on themselves, they have an employee mindset, they really create conflicts out of ego. You spoke behind my back. I can't believe you did this without my permission. I'm right, you're wrong, etc., etc. It's out of ego. Whereas people that focus on business, they do create conflicts. Healthy conflicts are positive for the business. This is how business actually evolve, with healthy conflicts. A business without conflict is doomed. Let me be clear, okay? So you create healthy conflicts out of business interest. So you see someone that's always late. Honestly, you tell him, I'm not your boss, but I find this super unacceptable. I'm tired actually of being, of seeing this. You're not working for the good of the business, and it feels like the entire load is on our shoulders, and you don't really care as much as we do. That's what it feels like. That's the signal you're sending. Do you speak like that to people that are late all the time? No, I'm not talking about people that just happen to be late once or twice. I'm talking about those guys that are not really pulling their weight. Do you go out of your way and say, hang on a minute, I saw you working, you were on the phone personally chatting on Facebook all afternoon, and now you're complaining that you're not getting this report on time? Hang on, you're not my boss. No, I'm not your boss, but I'm working in a team where I want to win. I'm in the same team as you, and right now we're on the same team. One is trying to win, the other one doesn't care. So I have a problem. I don't care about being your boss or not. Do you understand how I create a conflict out of the business for the business? I'm not creating a conflict out of ego. Does it make sense? And I don't care. You see, I'd rather make sure this person around me is going to act correctly because they know I'm going to say something if things are not done, then they're not, okay? So basically, we're all in a team, okay? We are all, what is, there's a misconception about the definition of team player. Being a team player, professionals often think is just being nice, collaborating with team members, etc., etc. Being a team player is actually making sure that you're doing your absolute maximum. Because if you're just doing 90% of what you should do, then on 10% of the cases, you're letting your team down. On 10% of the cases, this 10% is going to go on the desk of other members of your team. You're not doing your number one best, whereas the other members of the team are doing their number one best. Being a team player is doing your best in the team. Imagine I don't know if you like football or basketball or anything, but imagine if one person was kind of, sometimes running, sometimes not running, depending on the mood, depending on how tired they are, etc., etc. You would kick them out of the team. You would not be happy at all. I hope it makes sense. So that's what being a team player is. And finally, there's another dimension. Now, we looked at two dimensions. The first one was the being customer-driven, customer-centered, customer-focused on everything we do. I'm not talking about being a salesperson here. I'm talking about the entire company. The entire company. The only purpose of the company is to serve customers, period. Okay, so if members of the company don't have the same focus, then you don't have a team, a synergy that's going in the right direction. Not at all. Okay, second dimension we talked about, the success of the company as opposed to your own success. Your own success is connected to the success of the company, but your primary goal should be the success of your company. I didn't say the success of your department. I said the success of your company. Okay? Because from the success of your company, you actually become successful. If you generate success in your company, you actually become successful. If you just think about yourself, you're never going to have the creativity, the right ideas are never going to come through. If you think about, if you're an accountant, for example, if you just do your job as you always done your job, and you're not thinking about how can I improve my company's results, then you're never going to think about that one idea that suddenly reduces, I don't know, payroll time by 3 days and makes the company save millions of dollars every year. I don't know, I'm making this up, of productivity, okay? So if you always plug your mind into company success, you're gonna come up with ideas that you never thought possible when you plug your mind into, what can I get? What can I get? Okay, that's very, very important. You know, oftentimes you'll see, I'm French, so one of the things that happens in France is it becomes notoriously known for this is the strike. Okay, so people strike, they go on strike, and oftentimes you will see that employees are not in line with their bosses. They're not. There's a complete disconnect. So employees are going to say, "Oh, we haven't had a raise for 5 years, although the company's making profit." And you're like, okay, but has the value of your job changed? So why is it that you should have a raise if you're not providing more value? So no, it's not like this because there's inflation, there's a lot of things, the cost of living is more expensive. Why would that be the employer's fault? There's a complete disconnect. And I'm not saying one should not have more or whatever, but there should be, you know, a different, we should have a different software. If I can prove to my employer that I'm actually improving the company's results by 20%, speed, saving more time, costs, I'm training new employees, even if you are senior, let's say you're driving a train at the moment, or you're driving, you know, you're a pilot, you're a flight pilot and airplane pilot, and, you know, let's say that you only do that, then even if you train more people, if these people are, you know, doing an amazing job, then you can actually put this forward. But going on strike to say, oh, there was no, you know, and paralyzing doesn't mean anything. It's just, yes, maybe you win, maybe you don't win. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, because at the end of the day, there's a disconnect. It's only one strike out of many that's going to happen. Okay. The third dimension is really finding ways, regardless what job you are in, finding ways to generate more customers and to make customers more loyal. Finding ways to generate more customers and to make customers more loyal. This is the difference between working for your manager, for your department, or working for the company overall. What do I mean? Well, you know, when you work for your manager or your department, you just do your job the best you can. But when you work for the company, you think about how your job can generate profit, save costs, time. We talked about it, okay? When you work for your manager, you think that generating new customers is not your job. It's the sales department job, right? When you work for the company, you understand that actually generating customers and making customers loyal to your firm is the job of every single employee. Every single employee. So let me give you an example. You see, my accountant, you know, when he sends a reminder because there's a, let's say, an invoice that hasn't been paid, well, the way we craft the reminder is very, very, very specific. We actually, you know, craft something along the lines of, oh, hi there, my name is I'm actually the accountant. I noticed that invoice so hasn't been paid. And I'm sure that this is already under process. Apologies if if it is, but I just wanted to know if there was any extra information I could provide that would speed up the payment of this invoice. So you see, look, I'm not blaming. I'm not saying, hey, you have 3 days. Hey, you're late. Hey, no. I'm actually saying, hey, is there anything I can do? Is there any information I can provide? Very different mindset. Very different mindset. You see how this is how an accounting department works for the company, not for the accounting department. Okay, so the role, the goal, the ultimate goal is to make sure that client is satisfied even when he's wrong. Okay, that's very, very important. Customer service throughout. Also, when you work for your own department, the difference is that you don't know what, making your department successful, making your department shine across all departments, doesn't necessarily mean that you are actually serving the rest of the company. Remember, you have internal clients, internal customers, okay? Remember that your employer is your ultimate client. A client, the definition of a client is someone that pays you for your service or product, or buys your product. Here, he's going to buy your services. He pays you every month. Your ultimate client is your big boss, okay? He's the big boss, is the company. So you don't want to sort of fit in a box. You want to radiate. And remember, if you followed the show last week, we talked about perception, visibility, influence, okay? And this is how you're going to be visible across the entire company. This is when you work for the entire company, when you put things in place, when you work in collaboration with other departments, when you understand them, then you're not, well, hey, salesperson, speak to your clients, you are late. No, you're like, hey, what can we do to make sure that, throughout this process of getting invoices paid, and it's a touchy subject, right? We don't spoil the relationship that you've built. Well, ideally, guys, leave it to me and I'll speak to them. Or, well, ideally, guys, I don't deal with this. I'd rather you guys deal with this. I can help you craft a sort of a template that I would be happy with. You see how you build bridges. You don't actually destroy things, if that makes sense, okay? So things in terms of established rules, of course, yes. When you work for your department, you think about, your own practices, your own processes, your own rules, okay? But when you work for the company, you think in terms of time, quality, money, efficiency. You don't think about, well, that's just the way it is. That's how we do it here. No, you think about, how can this take less time? How can we make this better? How can we save more money? How can we be more efficient here? And you come up with ideas, and this is how your company grows and grows and grows. And of course, when you come up with these ideas, you become very visible. You become perceived in a very, very good light. Just keep on doing this, because at the performance review, when it will be time to actually say, hey, this is what I've done to the company, you're going to have a list of performance. You're going to have your own track record. That's amazing. But when you're just doing your job, what are you going to say? Well, I work really hard, I don't count my hours. I'm a really committed person. Blah blah blah. There's no results. There's no results for the company. I hope it makes sense. Okay. The number one challenge for people when they write their CV, for example, is to extract results. They just can't extract results because they're not used to think in terms of results for the company. So they just don't know what's the difference between tasks, duties, and results. They just confuse both things. They confuse action and results. They completely are confused about this. And of course, they don't play with the right set of mind. Okay, the right mindset, sorry. And of course, they just can't win in this game. So that's why having an entrepreneur's mindset is a game changer. It's actually being connected, plugged into your employer brain. He's actually thinking like him. He's actually contributing. Imagine if, one of the things that I love and I don't have enough as an employer is someone that thinks as a business owner. It's not someone that thinks as a recruiter or as a salesperson or as an accountant. It's someone that thinks for me and perhaps comes up with things that I haven't thought about. It's someone that challenges me for the good of the business. I love that. Okay. Another thing that you will hear is that sometimes people will say, oh, Hamza, sending emails, Hamza, is not professional. Sending mass emails like this is not professional. And they use the word professional. So I say, hey, how do you define professional? Well, it's professional. It's like, professional. They don't have a definition of professional. People use the word professional for anything. That's not very professional. What do you mean? What is professional? What is the standard of being professional or not being professional? What is the red line? How do you make a difference between being professional and not being professional? If I argue with a client, If I say to a client, I'm sorry, we're not going to work with you anymore, is that professional or not professional? If a client comes to me and say, hey, I want you to come to Abu Dhabi to meet me, and I say, well, I'm sorry, I don't have time at the moment, can we at least do a phone call first? And the client says no, and the client says, well, you guys are not professional. You see, everyone uses the word professional the way they want. No. Look, it's very, very easy, actually. I'm sorry, this is actually a little bit cut here, but a professional is just someone, you know, it's like the word quality, by the way. Quality, if you ask someone, what is a quality product? What is a quality service? They have no idea. Let me give you a definition, an easy definition. A quality product or quality service, being professional, both are about customer satisfaction. If your customer is satisfied, is okay with, you know, he feels that what he paid for is, you know, at the right, is aligned with what he got, then you have been professionally providing quality. Being professional is not just an opinion. That's not very professional. Well, no, it's about customer satisfaction, period. You know, oftentimes people say to me, Hamza, you're sending emails, mass emails, and they are personalized. And some people say, oh, Hamza, it's not professional. What does it mean? Why wouldn't that be professional? Professionals do use email systems to save time and to make sure they are delivered the right way, etc., etc. Of course, professionals don't spend their days writing the same email to each individual. So I hope it makes sense. It's about customer satisfaction. If the customer is happy, you're done. Okay, so very important. You see, when you think as, you know, as an entrepreneur, professional quality means customer satisfaction. That's it. You do quality if the customer is satisfied, period. Okay, so that's all, folks, for now. I hope that this is helping you a little bit, understanding, comprehending a different mindset. You know, hopefully most of the people that actually watch this show, you know, I'll tell you something, are already entrepreneurs in their mind. They already have this kind of mindset, because one thing about entrepreneurs is that they're constantly evolving, improving, learning. They never, ever stop for themselves. They don't learn because the boss said you should learn, you should go through this training. They actually do it by themselves. That's one of the characteristics of an entrepreneur. So well done to you. Just by watching these kind of shows, you actually have an entrepreneur's mindset, because you know that in order for you to improve, you need to change your mindset. In order for you to improve, you need to get methods, techniques, recipes that actually work. Hopefully this is helpful. And please leave a comment. I love hearing, you know, reading and hearing from you guys. And I promise to reply to every single comment. That's my promise to you. So leave a comment and don't hesitate to share. One more thing, we are on YouTube. Please do subscribe. If you like these kind of courses, if you feel there is an added value, do subscribe. Do leave a like to on our YouTube channel under this video, or on Facebook. Just don't hesitate, okay? Be active. We want to touch as many people as possible. We're not charging any money for these courses. We're just doing them every single Sunday live on a Facebook group called Name Your Career. Okay, so hopefully this is all good and done now, and you guys are happy with this, and I will see you next week for another show. Thank you very much. That was Hamza Zawadi, career coach at Name Your Career. Thank you. Bye bye.